I'm putting a minute ago, but we'll try that. Is that better? No better. Still here.
You ever have red when you, go? Red, green,
Hey! Okay.
There we go, yay!
I have green. Excellent. It's much better. So this little lesson is an excerpt from stupid amount of study I've done. Biblical view of creation. We've seen that picture before. One of the music videos. That is Bryce Canyon. It's one of my favorite places on earth. It is Bryce Canyon. Oh, really? Now, all right. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of the last slide. Give me the next slide. History begins with Julius Caesar. That's the old Saul for the world. We have many records of great antiquity. The modern, quote-unquote, historians discount all of them because they are transcribed by those nefarious, unscrupulous Christians in the Middle Ages that invented genealogies for the races of Europe. Made a pious fraud, so they agreed with the Bible. Now, that didn't happen. And I have way more evidence if you ever want to see that didn't happen. But we'll start with this. Here we have it. Can you see it? No, of course not. This is what I was trying to show you last time. This is the Sumerian kingdoms. Yeah. Yes. No, that's clay. That was made in about 21 BC, 2100 BC. All right? That is clay. And this is before Abraham was born. That thing was made before Abraham was born. Okay? Sumerian kings list. There was a list of kings. There were 8 kings. And after the 8 kings, it says, and the flood came in. So these kings were before the flood. We have 8 kings. Now, you got to understand, Sumerians, nobody but a king was worth talking about. So they didn't. Now, go to the next slide. This is the Cliff Notes. This is the Sumerian list. Yeah. That is how they made numbers in clay. This is Sumerian, as you can see, and there's no, they left out the first man and the flood here. If we have 10 patriarchs. If you leave out the first Adam and Noah, there are 8 patriarchs before the flood. 8 kings before the flood. If we arrange them so that we use these 3 little symbols, the total will come out to be the same. For the Hebrews, they are base 10. It would be 6,660 would be the lifespan. Not when we would do this between the creation and flood. For the Sumerians, their base 60, it would be 241,200 years. Because of the base 60, yeah. And so, see that guy, each one of those little guys is 36,000 years. But if they found a Semitic scroll or clay tablet, they'd easily get confused. They'd interpret it the way they normally interpret it. Okay, next slide. Today we'll look at the Celtic chronicles. The Celts are fascinating. Okay. The Celts measured time from the beginning of the earth. Their time was Anno Mundi, in the year of the earth. Great. That's a great system. If you remember when creation Now, if we compare the Celts and the Hebrews, it's very interesting. The Hebrew day, it is well known, ends at nightfall. The Celtic day ended at nightfall. Nightfall to nightfall. I think our first one. Yes, that's the first one. Now, Archbishop Upshur, I think he was the first one to publish what he calculated. He calculated from the Bible the time from the creation to the flood as 1,656 years. Well, the Celtics mark time from the creation, and their year for the flood was Anno Mundi 1656. 1,656 years. Oh, only. Got good memories. Actually, it did. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, is in September or October. It varies from September 5th to October 5th. The Celtic New Year, called Samhain, is November 1st. Now, here Archbishop Usher again in the 1600s, from the scriptures, he calculated the creation of the world as October 22nd, 4004 BC, 24 hours before the first nightfall. They're all in the ballpark. I mean, September, October, November, October 22nd. They're very close. The Celts. Oh yeah, and how much stuff, water went over that dam in those years. And they did an amazing, the Celts did an amazing job of keeping track of things. Now, the Celts, like other European people, based the right of property, rank, and the right to rule on bloodlines. It was all bloodlines. The idea of nobility is very ancient, and was probably, one of the legacies of Nimrod, along with the divine right to rule. Nimrod was a bad time. So this is, the idea of nobility is across the globe. When I look at things that are across the globe and aren't good, I think of Nimrod. Now, you have a right to come. Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Now, that phrase, a mighty hunter before the Lord, the actual Hebrew is in the face of. And it could be in the face of. And I think that's what Nimrod did. He was the first one to create an empire. He ruled over men. So, all right, the genealogies were no joke. As a matter of fact, there were 5 clans in Ireland. Genealogies determined who could rule. Every 3 years, the clans came together at Tara, and they compared the genealogies. And if somebody was playing games with them, they corrected them. And if they didn't correct them, there was a war. There was no question about it. And it would be 4 clans getting smarter. So they were kept straight. Now, there was a high king in Ireland. This I found was really impressive. There was a high king when the high king died. They did a lot. One of the 5 clans, the king of one of the 5 clans would be elected a new high king. Because the new high king would be the protection and the organized force against external threats. So if Ireland was getting invaded, the High King was there. And he was also for adjudication. They would settle disagreements between themselves. Now, when the High King was installed, each of the clans had an olam, a good high priest. This impressed me. When he was installed, the olam of his clan recited from memory his genealogy back to Adam. That was one of your blanks. Back to Adam. Completely pagan society, a completely pagan organization and way of running things. And they know about Adam. Now, the 12th century Book of Leinster tells us, and this is an important point, Ernan, son of Duach, son of the king of Connaught. It is he that collected the genealogies and histories of the men of Erin in one book, that is, the King Broma Smith. So, this guy, he didn't make them up, he collected the genealogies that existed and the histories. He put them in one book. So they were accessible to everyone. Now, the book is lost, but it provided the basis for histories of Ireland. This is not a forgery, a Christian forgery, because Ireland did not convert to Christianity until the next century. He did this as a pagan. So we are looking at an independent record that's parallel to the Bible. Now it tells that a number of immigrations happened, and this is where we see that it really isn't much higher. The first immigration claimed in these annals was before the flood, which is why one of the reasons I doubt it. But it said Noah's granddaughter came to Ireland. And I thought about that. There is a formula for the patriarchs before the flood. That I will use Methuselah as an example, because Methuselah was the one who waited longest before he had his first son. Methuselah lived 187 years and begat Lamech. Methuselah lived after he begat Lamech 782 years and had other sons and daughters. That is the formula. What does it say about Noah? Noah was 500 years old. Noah became the father of Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Completely different formula. It doesn't say Ham, Shem, and Japheth were the first. Think about it. You're getting on the ark. And your sons, your grandsons, great-grandsons are not getting on with you. That puts a different twist to it. I cannot say that it's entirely probable that he had other sons and daughters before Ham, Shem, and Japheth. That'd be tough. So, now, the first post-flood immigration was dated in Crete, and this is again, AM 2520. So it's 2,520 years after creation. In our years, that would be 1484 BC. That is 40 years before the Exodus. A man named Partholon settled there, and the story goes the king of Britain who gave him the uninhabited Ireland to live. And this is part of, the only reason this is part of the claim of England to own Ireland. If I can give you the land, I own it. The next, 300 years later, a plague wiped that colony out. So. The next immigration of Ireland was in the year AM 2859, which is 1145 BC. Absolutely, yeah. Okay. Counting backwards, yes. They're counting up and we're counting down. Gotta be good at math. They settled on the coast of Ireland, and the annals of Clonmacnoise say the Fomerians were a Set descended from Ham, son of Noah, and lived by piracy and spoil of other nation, and were in those days very troublesome to the whole world, or at least to Ireland. Now, after this, you can see here, their names aren't the same. They did this Aya thing here with J's. So it's Iapheth, not Japheth. It's Iref, not Jared. And then a couple words, no. Go to the next slide, please. Yeah. This is the descendants of Magog. The curious thing is, the descendants of Magog are not given in the Bible. Go look for them. We are thinking there is a theory that they, before the Tower of Babel, they were mixing with the other tribes. And indeed, the Celts were descended from a mixture of Magog and Gomer's grandson Ashkenaz. They were Scythians. So, here's Partholon, 1484 BC. Here's the next immigration, Nimrod. The Fomerians drove them back inland. And then, they were pretty beat up. So, the Picts, I think these are the Picts. One group went to northern England. Well, what's in northern England? Scotland. England was inhabited. They probably went to Scotland. They probably became the Picts.
So it's their fault we have bagpipes.
No, actually,
No,
bagpipes are not inherent to Scotland. They got them from the mainland.
So they got them, it's his fault we got bagpipes.
The Furbolgs, yes, I love bagpipes, by the way. The Furbolgs went to Greece and then came back. And the Tuatha went to northern Europe and came back afterward. But none of these really make up the Irish today. It's this group. The last immigration was the Milesians in 504 BC. Or an Olandi 3500. And there are sort of the chronicles that we have. The other guys all died out. They dispersed. Now, there is another interesting really note in the Chronicon Scotorum, another Celtic chronicle. It says that the Tower of Babel was Nimrod's tower. And I agree with you.
That's a blank.
Yes, that's one of the blanks. Nimrod's tower. An ancient Irish poem reads, "One was at first the language of mankind, till haughty Nimrod with presumption blind, proud Babel built, then with confusion struck, 72 different tongues the workmen spoke." Another, while we're on the Tower of Babel, fascinated by this stuff, the 13th century Muslim historian, Abu al-Fida, and you can check this up on Wikipedia if you want, he relates a note saying the Patriarch Eber refused to participate in building the tower, and his language was not confused. I agree with him. I
That's why it's
believe,
called Hebrew, not Israeli.
yes, it's Hebrew. The first language, I think undoubtedly was Hebrew. And that's why the Hebrews were way ahead in a lot of things.
They could read the old records.
They could read the old records, yes. But look at the Celts. They read the records. I mean, it's crazy. So, yes. There are some interesting, let's see the next slide. Do we go to the?
So is
Yes.
Heber, I'm sorry, I'm lost there. Heber, I'm using a little tough.
Heber, Heber, was Irish. I'm talking about Eber.
Heber is from Shem.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. The son of Shem refused to participate in building the tower.
yeah. So you're not saying that it's same guy.
No.
Okay.
No, that does happen when you're looking at all this stuff, but no.
Yeah.
So here's all the fill in the blanks. Now, there is, that's the next one. So, let's see. Oh. Yes. The settlement of Ireland by the Milesians was 504 BC. They were from Miletus in Asia Minor. So they say, and I believe them. What was happening in the late 500s BC is the Persians were trying to take over Greece. We had the Battle of Thermopylae in like 490. In 494, they destroyed Miletus. So the Persians were making life unsteady. So this immigration is entirely possible. It's not, something wild at all. So, and I was going to say before we started, if you have any questions, by all means ask. We have the entire list, genealogical list. And I left out some, for space reasons, I left out a whole lot of levels. From Adam to the people who settled Ireland in 500 BC. And then we have the list from there on. It is not a Christian list. It is an absolutely pagan document. And it is parallel generation by generation as far as they go with the Bible. This is not the only one. There are many. We saw the Sumerians. They knew about the flood. They knew about people before the flood. They kept records. So, unlike the historians would like you to believe, the Bible is not myth and legend. The Bible is history. And the more we dig up, the more we realize it's absolutely history.
Yes.
So, any comments, questions?
And that's them preserving their records despite the fact that the Romans were hunting the record keepers.
Yes. Well, dear old, what we know of the Druids, which were their priests, we know from Julius Caesar. Mainly. Good old Julius. Veni, vidi, vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. That's Julius. Not exactly a sympathetic audience. And so he actually, the Celts covered France, Spain, and Britain, British Isles. Julius came in and right when he took over Gaul, annihilated the Druids. The Druids, you talk about the original Littlewood club. The Druids did not write anything down because they didn't want other people to get hold of it. It was their position in society, and they were the racial memory, like, you know, the guy reciting the genealogy back to Adam. They were the ones in the know. And Julius Caesar said, they are the guys we got to get rid of so we can make the Romans. And he did. So it is.
And the early, early genealogy of they use the same
Oh,
line of
I have, it goes back to Adam. I have the, well, maybe, some of the genealogies left out Noah.
Like I said, there's him, so there's him in there.
Yeah,
And so there's something they hold that as their right.
oh yeah, absolutely, these were dead serious things for keeping.
And it is for this on. So I thought that really.
There were 6 Saxon houses, they all had the same genealogy and rule. And Woden was worshipped as a god, which is, by the way, ancestor worship, I am sure, is another legacy of Nimrod. And demigods. Nimrod did the it was Nimrod. Yeah. Yeah. The Greeks knew there was one God. The Romans knew there was one God. Canaanites knew there was God, one God. They liked dealing with gods that they could make a deal with. So, let's close. We're out of time. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the incredible number of written records that you have preserved for us. They are not inspired. They are not preserved. But they're close enough we can tell them. But they're talking about the same thing. And I ask you to build our faith. And this is, you know, the silliness the world has running around. They're just crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. Open eyes, open hearts. We thank you that you have loved us enough that you thrill us. For truth and mercy, we just praise you